Hi everyone, I'm Meredith Abbott and welcome to Sur La Table. Today I'll be showing you how to make fresh pasta dough. To make fresh pasta dough, you only need a few ingredients. 00 flour, but in a pinch you can also use all-purpose flour, eggs, olive oil, and salt. I'm using kosher salt. Now I'm ready to prepare my dough. I like to prepare mine in a large bowl rather than on the countertop. I feel like it's a little less messy and I have a little more control over it. So to the large bowl, I'm adding all of my flour and salt. I'm going to use a fork to whisk this together just to distribute the salt evenly throughout the flour. Then I'm going to use my fingertips to make a well in the middle. I'm going to crack all of my eggs into this well and add the oil, then I'm going to start mixing it together. So these are 4 large eggs. Like so. In goes my olive oil. I'm going to give my yolks a poke so they're easier to mix. And I'm just going to start by whisking this together. You'll see it's pulling in some of the flour from the outside. That is a-okay. We want that. Today I'm using a fork. You could also use your fingers if you'd like. So you'll see my dough is starting to get a little thicker, starting to stick together. So at this point, I am going to switch to my fingers. I just work my hands around the bowl, grab that flour, and gently press into that dough. Okay, so now I've collected most of the flour from the outside of the bowl. Now that the dough ball has come together, I'm going to tip it out onto my board. But before I do that, I want to cast a thin layer of flour onto my board so that my dough ball doesn't just stick directly to my work surface. And now we're really going to knead. I'm going to knead this dough for about 5 minutes. Set a timer if you'd like for yourself. Press down with my heel of my hand, turn the dough, and keep going in that motion. So pull up close to me, push away with the heel of my hand. Turn it about 1/4 of a turn, fold on top of itself, push down. If your dough is sticking to your cutting board or your hand, you just need a little bit more flour. So take another small pinch and continue to knead. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes. How do you know when you are ready to stop? Well, you'll gather your dough together in a nice tidy ball and you're gonna give it a poke. See how quickly that springs back? That means that the gluten is super tight, it's nice and developed. Now that we're done kneading, it's time to rest the dough. So this just gets covered with a clean kitchen towel, some plastic wrap, beeswax wrap, whatever you have. It needs to rest for at least 10 minutes, can rest up to an hour. Okay, so dough's been resting for about 15 minutes. Here it is, it's beautiful. This is a lot of dough to work with. I'm gonna cut this into thirds using my bench scraper. You can also use a knife if you have. Just eyeball thirds, doesn't have to be perfect. I'm gonna start by using one of them so the other 2 go back underneath the towel off to the side. Now I'm just going to kind of finger press this out into a thin layered slab. So just gonna kind of roll it a little bit, knead it with my hand, press it out into somewhat of a rectangle. Again, not perfect. The machine is going to do most of the work for us, but I just want it thin enough that I can feed it into the machine. Today I'm using a stand mixer with an attachment that is going to roll this into sheets. Before you start, make sure that your attachment is all the way in and is secure, and you're on setting 1. That is the widest setting of your roller. Turn the machine on to the lowest setting, which is stir, and then you're just going to feed in the dough. It'll catch on its own. Have your second hand down here at the bottom, to cradle it as it comes through. This will become more important the thinner the sheets get. Now the dough has come through once. We're gonna do a tri-fold, and you're going to start feeding it with still on the widest setting. It's gonna sound a little bit different as it comes through, just like so. Catch it with your loose fingers. The dough is stretching really nicely. It's not pulling back in. I don't have any jagged edges. This little loose bit though, I'm just gonna tuck in and pinch down. Change your setting to 2. And now you're gonna start with the thin side in again. Feed it in, just kind of cradle it with your fingertips. You don't wanna stick your fingertips through the dough. This is so pretty, it's stretching beautifully. I moved my machine to the 3rd setting. The numbers on the dial designate the thickness, so that'll be true too for your tabletop models. So the lower the number on your dial, the thicker it is. The higher the number, the thinner the setting. I'm going to take my pasta sheet to a 6. If you were making a filled pasta like a ravioli or a tortellini, you would take your pasta sheet a bit thinner to like an 8. Anytime your pasta dough is going to be doubled up, you want to take it a bit thinner. So you'll see how long my pasta sheet is getting. I'm not pulling it out, I'm letting it fall through. Now I'm on 6, which is my last setting. Again, being nice and gentle with it, using the flat parts of my hands or even the back of my hands so I'm not putting finger holes in here. So once it comes all the way through, turn your mixer off and you have this beautiful, thin, even sheet of pasta. You can store it like this with a little bit of flour dusted through so it doesn't stick to itself, like so. So I have this beautiful, nice sheet of dough. This was just run through each setting once. So again, I ended on setting 6. So I ran it through my machine 6 times after I did the tri-folds. So now that it's all dusted, you can just store it in this beautiful bundle about a couple days in the refrigerator, but you can also freeze it. For recipe videos, cooking classes, and more, visit surlatab.com.